3 clear warning signs that we are facing a collapse. Not only that, 3 clear warning signs that should show you need to get out of the cities. Now when I say get out of the cities, people usually freak out and say, well, why are you telling them to come to rural areas? Have you seen how vast our country is? Have you seen the fact that our cities rule our politics, and it's all because people live there and just take the punishment of living in these cities? 3 things that we have to realize that are warning signs that America is going down the toilet if we do not change what's going on. We'll go over those today and how important it is to make sure that we realize if we're going to live in the cities, if we're going to be around a lot of liberal areas, then we're going to have to deal with it. And if not, then we need to find places that we can go that are safe for us and our families. Let's talk about all that today. Hey guys, welcome to The Max. Thank you so very much for being here today. If you are new to our channel, please go down here, press subscribe, ring the bell. Give us a thumbs up if you like the content. Of course, subscribe means the world to me. Giving a thumbs up means the world to me, but also it enters you into a drawing. Each and every month that we're going to be giving away something. We're giving away Genesis Gold, a prepper bar. It's a silver prepper bar, 99.9% pure silver. So please, if you are subscribed, you are entered in that. Comment below, and that automatically puts you into the random drawing that we'll have in just a few days. Now, today we're going to be talking about the warning signs of really a collapse of cities. Now, the point of me saying cities and you need to get out of the cities is not to overrun rural areas. Come on, people. That's not what this whole video is about. It's about for those normal individuals who knows they should not be living in cities. The common sense folks that know they just grew up in cities, or they realize how bad the cities are. It's not that they want to change the political views of the rural areas. They just want to get out. Well, this is the reasons that you must get out. Now, for the others who are in the cities and believe this narrative, they're not leaving the cities. So when we say get out of the cities or get to safety, those same people who believe in the, Democrat push, the liberal push, the Kamala push, I think of like California for the majority, those people are not wanting to leave the cities. Let them stay in the cities. But this is for your common sense folks that are typically watching us saying, I can't live here anymore. This is why. So let's talk about 3 things we should pay attention to. If you can't get out the cities, these are things that you need to watch for. If you don't live in the cities, these are the things that you should watch for, because if the cities have issues, this is the breakdown that you're going to see that maneuvers into the rural areas. Not talking about good common sense folks coming out. I'm talking about if these 3 things happen, these warning signs take place, then this is what we will have to deal with. Let's go through them. First and foremost is the crime, the theft, the thievery, and then nobody wants to talk about it. So I want to bring up a few stories. Aurora, Colorado, there's a story right now that armed gangs of illegals have taken over buildings in the Aurora, Colorado area. Now, this has been widely shared, saying that the police can't control the situation and that they've pretty much kind of commandeered this area. I think about the times of Seattle and Portland and places in California where you had these groups that go in and they just like take over an area. I think about cities that are fully run by illegal immigrants, or fully run by, like I think of Michigan, like the Somali nation. What we're seeing is there is areas in our cities and areas in our nation that truly hate America. So why are we allowing that to be the status quo for our cities? Of course I think about that, but then I think about the fact of the looting. I think about the fact that Walmarts and Walgreens and all these places are closing down the cities because they don't want to be in dangerous areas. They don't want to put their clerks in dangerous areas. They don't want to put their workers in dangerous areas. And then you hear the states and the cities complain about these big businesses moving out, these mom and pop stores moving out. Well, it's because they're not protected. First and foremost, the problem with our cities and collapse would be the fact that we have no form of law. Now, the rule of law goes hand in hand. This is a very tight window. Now, what do I mean? We need to have law, we need to have rules and regulations, and we need to have safety. When we lapse on that, what the liberal governments and the overreach happens is they overcompensate for something that should already be enforced. What do I mean? Because police are not doing their jobs because their hands are tied, because police can't be hired, because the fact that the cities are in such chaos, then we overcompensate. We provide more regulation, more curfews, more military, more martial law style versions of control of our cities. Now, do I believe that the cities should be controlled by National Guards? I don't. However, I just believe that we should enforce the law. Should we have illegal immigrants overtaking apartment buildings in Aurora, Colorado? Should we have Somalia places, some little Somalia places in Minnesota or Michigan? No. What I'm trying to show you is if we do not start controlling and enforcing the laws that we have no assimilation, so illegals are coming in and going to cause problems in our cities. But also, on top of that, we have no control of our cities because we're allowing our police to have their hands tied. So therefore, theft and thieving keeps going on. So number one, our cities are falling to pieces, and America will fall to pieces because we are allowing theft, thieving, stealing, murder, and our cities are in pure criminal chaos. I feel like we're in Gotham in the old DC comics where we're looking for Batman to save us, and Batman's not there to save us. Our cities are ran by crooked politicians that are leading foolish people to keep voting them into power, to ultimately for them to either cause the chaos, then to cause for the over-regulation and over-control. This is the first problem. The city's in chaos, and the fact that the more and more we allow this to take place, the breakdown of the city or the over-regulation of the city will happen. Number two is moral decay. I never thought in my wildest dreams that we would see the moral decay and the fact of just the deterioration of society. It breaks my heart to see what kids have to be grown in. You know, I would say I have a big heart, and I would say that I have a caring heart. I love my children. I love my wife. I make sure that I take care of all my animals. Yeah, I can think about all the things that I care for. But there's nothing that hurts me worse than to see kids living in squalor, kids living in chaos, or kids being exposed to things they shouldn't be exposed to. I think about our city public schools. I think about the fact of these liberal states that push these agendas on these children. So it's kind of like this. If we raise a generation thinking that normalcy is what these schools are teaching, which is indoctrination, what we're actually formulating is a lost, foolish, and idiocracy of this next generation coming up. So all we are going to have a bunch of fools and a bunch of inept people who really don't know what's going on. Now that is not a degrading talk about people. It is the fact that if we do not teach people education and we teach them indoctrination, if we don't teach kids morals and we allow them to live in an immoral way and we think that that's just normal because it's relative to what they believe, then what we're doing, we're building a foolish generation. And that's exactly what's happening. Just like we talked about in the first point, crime, the fact that we have no homes anymore, that fathers are not important anymore, the fact that we don't even see a nuclear family structure that's even pushed as a good thing, the fact that we don't want to see our kids raised in church or having some kind of morals and values from a godly perspective, the fact that we've allowed our school systems to pretty much put like satanic things and ungodly things in classes shows that we are raising a moral decayed society. Well, what happens when there's a moral decay? Now let's go back to the forefathers. Now most forefathers, what most people don't realize is most forefathers were not Christian folks. They may have been deists, they may have been atheists, but ultimately they saw the importance of morals and values. Even if they didn't believe it, they believed it was good for society. Things like the Ten Commandments are good for society, no matter if you believe in God or not. Now, as a Christian, I believe in God, and I believe that that is the groundwork for, you know, our communities to thrive, our families to thrive. But the common sense people that just says, okay, if I don't believe in God, I still believe that morals and values are a good thing. And we should stand up for morals and values. You have one political party that has no morals and values and actually promote not having morals and values. Then we have another one that sadly is probably moving away from morals and values. They may be more close to the Christian community or the conservative community, but ultimately we're building a whole political class where, you know, there's no value in following God or following morals or having morals and values. I mean, again, like we talked about, we have politicians on both sides that will get up and use four-letter words and curse all the time. We have politicians that don't live a godly life, and that, you know, they're caught up in either adultery, or they're caught up in money embezzling, or they're caught up in illegal activity. Both sides. Now, do I believe that we should be holier than thou, or anybody's going to be perfect? No. But what we've done is we've had a decay in society. So therefore, with the fact of criminal problems and the cities falling to pieces, the fact that we're building a society that does not care about anything other than whatever we feel is right for ourselves, meaning there is no absolute correctness or right or morals and values, that will bring more collapse for our society. And thirdly, we're broke. The worst thing that can happen to a country is they go broke. They go into a massive depression. Now, I talked about yesterday and a few days ago about money and how important it is for our markets to keep on growing. The fact that we're overtaxed, the fact that you're seeing the housing market go up, as in the value of the homes go up, that means you're going to be taxed more on the property that you do have. The fact that groceries and inflation and interest is up, that means you don't have the money to spend. People are going broke, and they're having to use credit cards and debt to keep paying for things that they should be able to afford, but they can't anymore. Not only that, we're $35 trillion in debt as a nation. You don't believe that there's going to be some kind of collapse before long, or a reset before long? It will be, because we are unsustainable. We're going into deficit every year. Think about your own personal, home. If you only made $2,000 a month, but it cost you $3,000 or $4,000 a month to make it, each and every month you're going more into a deficit. You're digging a deeper hole. Eventually, your credit or your debts or the fact of borrowing will run out, and you will be impoverished, sitting in a dark, deep hole. Well, our nation's doing the same thing. Deficit spending, deficit spending, deficit spending. Meaning we just keep borrowing more money that we don't have, printing more money that we can't print, but we're doing it, which is causing for more inflation, which is putting us more in a flat broke situation. You don't believe that that will bring collapse and chaos if all of a sudden we see a dollar crash, or the fact that we see a stock market crash? Do you realize our stock market is not held up by thousands of companies like it used to be? Our market is only making it because of government spending and about 6 or 7 companies that are very, very strong when it comes to really tech platforms. At any point in time, if our market flubs up or has a correction or a crash, and the government doesn't just fund more money, which they're going to keep on doing until they have no basis to do it anymore, then we're going to see a collapse. Now, you know what gets us usually out of collapses or crashes? More government spending, more taxation, or war. We're on the cusp of all that. So think about places like Sri Lanka. Think about places like Venezuela. Think about places of what some of these other third world countries look like. When their dollars and their money collapsed, people went nuts. Look at Haiti. They're literally like eating people. They're under complete and utter chaos. You know what it came down to? The fact that their system broke down when they had no money. When people said they were willing to do anything and everything to feed their family because there was no money to feed their family. So 3 things of how you have to prepare for collapse, but also the fact that, guess where this is going to be the most vulnerable? The cities. Guess what this is going to be the most vulnerable? These liberal states. Now, I don't want your liberalness in my rural area. So when people comment, and they'll be like, tell them don't leave the city. Liberals are not leaving the city because they don't see the problem with the city. The people that are leaving the city and the people that I'm trying to talk to is the people that are vulnerable, are older among us that feel like they have nowhere to go. The people that are conservative that are living in these hellholes in our cities that can't get out. So when we say get out of the cities or get out of these liberal states, the liberals are not the ones worried about moving out. The people that are living off the government, as in wanting the government to keep funding them, or the legals, they're going to stay in those liberal areas because they believe in that system. So therefore they're going to fall in more chaos, more collapse, more calamity. When those cities fall into that, the vulnerable, the conservatives, the ones that are trying to make it in those areas and want to keep fighting, are the ones that are going to be in problems first. So when I say get out, because the warning signs are all there, the people that believe in the warning signs are people like us who believe in the conservative movement and how moral decay is really happening, how the money system can't just keep going, how we believe the indoctrination in schools is bad. That's the people that need to move out, and that's the people that hopefully will move out and get to safekeeping in safe places. Now, does that mean our rural areas are safe? No, it doesn't. So therefore, like we've talked about in several stockpile and prepping videos before, and you could go back in those playlists and check for securities, you need to be prepared. These three things will affect you the same way. Guess what? I live in a very rural, conservative country area in South Mississippi. There's still problems with our school system the same way that liberal places have problems with their school system. So it's not the fact that the cities are moving in, it's the fact that you still have indoctrination because there's still teachers going from these big universities into the small school systems and trying to drastically change it. The fact that we still have crime in our cities, not because the cities are moving here, it's because people have, again, lost morals and values, have no family structure. So those rural areas are starting to feel the ramifications of bad policy and bad family guidance, and the fact that there is no morals and values anymore. The fact that people are starving and struggling is a national problem. That struggle goes upon not only liberal cities, rural America too. Think of everyone watching this video. I would say majority probably live in rural areas because we have a conservative audience. You're still living paycheck to paycheck and you're still struggling. So that doesn't just affect the cities. The point of the video though is it's gonna hurt the vulnerable people in the city first before it rolls to the rural areas, because the problems that the cities are gonna face are gonna be exacerbated and multiplied because there's more people there. So the warning signs, yes, it scares me for all America, but it definitely scares me for the city. So again, I state the obvious. The people who believe and vote Democrat or vote Kamala, they're not watching my videos and they don't believe they need to get out of the cities. They love living in this squalor. But for the conservatives who believe that America still has a chance, or they want to see America have a revival, or they want to see the fact that the dangers are here and they just want to keep their family safe, it's now time to see these things for what they are, dangers of collapse. If America is going to make it, it's going to take family structures, morals and values, and people who love America and willing to fight for America, fight for the morals and values again, to fight for the freedoms again, to fight for unity. I love seeing that RFK and Trump are working together. They don't see eye to eye on everything, just like the conservatives with DeSantis or Christians. Not everybody's going to see eye to eye, but we're trying to fight for the greater good of America. So that's what I'm hoping for. So is there any hope for cities? I hope so. Is there any hope for places like California? I hope so. But I don't believe the revivals and the turn back to morals and values are going to start in those places. I believe it's going to start with the heartland, middle America, the normal rural American areas. And when they get stronger, they show strength, they show what living with a good family structure, a good community actually means, they're going to impact more people. Why do you think so many people are moving to Texas and Florida? It's not because they want to move their liberal ways. Now there's places that are liberal in those areas. I think of Miami or Austin. But for the majority, people are moving to Tennessee, Florida, and Texas to get away from the craziness. And those areas are not becoming more liberal. They are wanting to move to more conservative areas because they see the value in it. I want to see the same thing for most conservative states, that they show value in families, they show value in living in areas that are not full of crime, and they show how important it is to stay strong on money, a balanced budget, not giving in to this craziness of printing money, living on deficits, and trying to just allow police to have their hands tied to let our streets be overrun with crime. So the problem is going to keep happening in the cities that will go to the rural areas unless we're willing to change and realize that it's broken. So if we don't want collapse, these three warning signs we should heed, and we should say, okay, let's fix the family. When we fix the family, We'll fix the school systems, the communities. We'll fix the crime problems because we'll have a father in the homes or mothers in the homes that love their children and try to teach them right and wrong. We'll hopefully have families back in churches and trying to see the values of morals again. And when we see morals again, then people won't want to commit crimes. When we see people living on better budgets, then they won't be starving, there won't be looting, there won't be problems with stealing and thievery because they will be prepared and taking care of their families. Then that will start impacting the cities. But you know, the breakdown doesn't happen in the rural areas first, it happens in the cities. So the cities will have breakdowns. So if you're living in the cities, I'd get out. If you're living in the rural areas, I'd make sure you're seeing these warning signs, heed them, and start being proactive, not reactive. The people in the cities, they're going to have to be reactive. The people in the rural areas, the people in the conservative states should be proactive in pushing a great messaging out that we know how to bring America back. Guys, let me know your thoughts on this video. I don't want liberal people moving to conservative areas. That's not what I say when I say get out of cities. They're not wanting to move out of those liberal, crazy places. They love it. But for the conservatives that are in these areas, you better get out. And also, for the rural areas, you better start being proactive and realizing the dangers of what's around the corner if we don't start changing our ways. Let me know your thoughts. God bless.